Okay, x plus 3 equals 7. Minus 3 from both sides. 7 minus 3 is 4, so x equals 4. Yes! New high score! Oh, hey, mathematicians. Didn't see you there. Sorry, I am super into this new game. It randomly generates one-step equations, and you have to race to solve them. Ooh, new level. X squared equals 9. Uh-oh. I don't know how to solve this one. Can you help? When we solved one-step equations before, what did we do first? We identified the variable and asked ourselves, what's happening to it? Well, for this problem, the variable is x, and it's being raised to the second power. So far, so good. What do we do next when solving an equation? Isolate the variable using inverse operations, right? But what's the inverse of squaring a value? The inverse of squaring a value is taking the square root of it. So for step 2, we'll take the square root of both sides of the equation to get the x by itself. I better write this out. Okay, since the inverse of squaring a value is taking the square root of something, we need to take the square root of both sides. To do that, we draw in a radical symbol. Any inverse operation we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. Equations have to stay equal after all. What's the square root of x squared? Just x, because inverse operations cancel each other out. So the squared and square root have canceled out, leaving just the x. On the right side, we need to calculate the square root of 9. What is that? If you said 3, great, but not completely correct. You can't forget about -3 too. Why are both 3 and -3 the result of taking the square root of 9? The square root of 9 is both 3 and -3 because both numbers result in 9 when squared. So that means there are two solutions to this equation. X equals 3 and x equals -3. You'll see what I mean when we check our work. What's 3 squared? Is it 9? Yes, it is. What about -3 squared? Is -3 times -3 positive 9? Yes, it is. So both solutions are correct. Heads up, you have to write both because they're both true. Next equation is up, and it's n squared equals 100. What should I pick? I picked n equals 10 and n equals -10. But did I get it right? We should have taken the square root of both sides. The square root of n squared is n, and the square root of 100 is both positive 10 and -10. Check our work by substituting both values into the equation, and yep, they're both right. N equals 10 and n equals -10. They're both the solutions. New level, here we go. The square root of a equals 12. Oh boy, I better apply the steps for solving this new one too. First up, where's the variable and what's happening to it? Well, we're taking the square root of the variable, which is a. Next, we've got to isolate the variable using inverse operations. What's the inverse of taking the square root of a value? Squaring the value. So let's put parentheses around the left side and put an exponent of 2, and then do the same thing to the right. Don't forget, anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other. What's the square root of a squared? Well, since square roots and squares are inverses, they cancel out, leaving us with just a equals. What's 12 squared? 12 times 12 is 144, so our solution seems to be a equals 144. We have to finish up with step 3 though, checking our work. So we'll plug 144 into our original equation in place of a. With that substitution, it's now the square root of 144 equals 12. Is that true? Yes. Notice that this time we only have one solution, and it's positive. That's because when you square a number, the product is always positive, even if you start with a negative number. A negative times a negative is positive, and a positive times a positive is also positive. So when our inverse operation is squaring, we'll always end up with one positive solution. Okay, next question. Square root of y equals 8. What should I pick? Help me out by doing this one on your own. I picked y equals 64. Let me see if I got it right. I haven't had a chance to check yet. What I did first is square both sides, because squares are the inverse of square roots. The square root of y squared is y. And 8 squared is 64, which is how I got my solution of y equals 64. Let's check with substitution. Is the square root of 64 8? Yes, it is. Last level for now. We need to do these two and pick our answers. So let's go. The first problem is 4 equals b squared. The second problem is 4 equals the square root of h. Take your time and use the steps to solve these now. All right, here are the answers I picked. B equals 2 and negative 2, and h equals 16. Pause and compare your work to mine. We rocked those levels of the game. Thanks for your help. Even though we hadn't seen equations like that before, we applied our solving steps and what we knew about squares and square roots to figure it out. I'm gonna go back to playing, but in the meantime, you wrap up these guided notes and work on practice levels 1 and 2. Until next time, keep questioning, keep calculating, and remember, just like how addition and subtraction are opposites, squares and square roots are inverses too. See you next time. Hey, hey.